so I had to drink lots of ice water and eat a lot of popsicles. Again, you'd think that'd be cakewalk. So they came in with the red stuff, and it took about 5 minutes to do the IV injection, and about 5 minutes later I was peeing red from the chemo. Next came the bad one, the one that they were going to drip slowly over the next 4 or 5 hours. The one that was so awesome that the nurses were in hazmat suits to give it to me. The reason that I pushed the names of these drugs completely out of my head. It probably took about 10 minutes before I started to feel nauseous, and that was even after I took the 5 course pills that were supposed to be my anti-nausea medicine. The nurse came in and slowed down the drip. That didn't help. I can't remember how long exactly it took before I got sick, but it wasn't long. I was admitted to the hospital, and my 2 days turned into 4, and it was the awful hell that, if you haven't gone through chemo, that you would imagine it would be. Mom, being the amazing mom and nurse that she was, kept giving me ice water and popsicles. I remember once we thought it was grape flavor. It was root beer. I puked. The water pitcher they had in each room were purple. When it came to the 3rd round of chemo, I remember yelling at Mom to get the pitcher out of the room because if I saw it, I was going to puke. To this day, I've never had a popsicle. And it took me 3 years to drink water with ice in it again. I lost 18 pounds in my first round of chemo. My recovery process went kind of like this. I'd feel horrible the first week when it happened, a little better the next week, and I would feel good enough the weekend before chemo was going to happen again to go visit Jillian in Des Moines. When I left the hospital the first time, the IV in my arm blew, and I developed some swelling, and it was really painful. I was driving home from that first weekend visiting Jillian, and I called the doctor to kind of tell him what was going on. And when he called me back, he said, I don't want to alarm you, but get to the ER as fast as you can. So whatever that bad thing that could have happened, it didn't happen, and I just had to have ultrasound therapy to get the swelling out of my wrist. Round 2 was the worst. They tried a different anti-nausea medicine. It didn't work. I got admitted to the hospital again. It was rinse and repeat with the recovery process. My hair was gone at this point for sure. And I felt and looked like a cancer patient in every way imaginable. And the only things that I would eat were baked potatoes, cottage cheese, apples, and Carnation instant breakfast. Round 3. Round 3 was different. After yelling at my mom to get the pitcher out of my face, they gave me a different anti-nausea medicine. This was Monday before chemo started. The next thing I remember was waking up at home Thursday morning. Not too shabby. To this point, I've left out the 3rd doctor, my radiation doctor. Not because there was anything special about radiation. The only notable part really is one of the side effects of the chemo was I got an ulcer, so sometimes I puked before radiation, sometimes I puked after, and twice I puked on the sidewalk walking back to my room. The reason I saved the radiation part for last is because I stayed at the Hope Lodge for the 7.5 weeks that I was doing radiation. For those of you unfamiliar with the Hope Lodge, even though it was mentioned before tonight, it's a place funded by the American Cancer Society where people 18 and over can stay for free while they undergo treatment. The Hope Lodge was nothing short of amazing. They had puzzles, games, movies, a spot in the kitchen where you could put your food so you could cook. But most importantly, there was 35 other people there who were going through the same shit that I was, and that was great. Did I mention it was free for me to stay there? When I checked in, they told me they had one rule, and that was that you gained weight while you were there. Mission accomplished. There were groups that brought in food a few times a week, and every Tuesday night they had a potluck where everyone staying there brought their favorite food and we feasted. I had somebody different stay there with me every week I was there, and they too would all tell you that it was simply amazing. And because of the Relay for Life and all of you, did I mention that it was free for me to stay there? While in those 7 weeks, I had the 2 easier rounds of chemo, with the last one being pushed back a week because my white counts were so low. I finished finished my last day of radiation on relay day in 2007. Kind of funny how that worked out. I had checkups every 3 months, then 4 months, then 6 months, then yearly. There was never anything that showed up on any of the scans. In that time, I changed my major from accounting to dentistry because I couldn't handle the sight of blood needles anymore. I got married to Jillian in November of 2009, and on April 6, 2012, we had our first kiddo, Oliver. I had my 5-year checkup in July of that year, and Dr. Marks asked me if I wanted to be done with the checkups. I said, you know, I just had a kid, let's do 1 more year. I wish that was the end of the story. I was working out of town in November of 2012. 4 months after that 5-year checkup, that showed nothing. And I stood up in the office chair in the conference room I was working in, and I hit my leg, and it hurt. I sat down at the conference table again, looked at my friends on the other side of the table, and said, I have cancer again. I called Jillian that night, and my doctor the next day. I went back to Mayo on December 21st for another MRI that showed what we all knew, and I had a CT biopsy to confirm it. I met with the surgeon and the oncologist and decided the only real option was amputation. So, working for my dad all my life growing up, one of the most important things that I learned was always be prepared for anything. You know, if you're standing on a ladder and it starts to slip, what are you going to do? You know, if I had $1, right? So I pride myself in being ready for anything, and when they told me I was going to get my leg cut off, I was prepared. My big mistake this time around was I didn't want to worry Mom and Dad unnecessarily, so I had yet to tell them that any of this was going on. We were planning on coming home on Christmas Eve to celebrate Christmas, but I called Mom and said we were coming home a day early. I think she was too excited to ask why. So Mom, Dad, my little sister Danielle, and Jillian and I were sitting in the living room. Lindsay was at a big family Christmas. And I told them that my cancer was back and I was going to get my leg cut off. I filled them in on the rest of the story, and the next day, on Christmas Eve, I got a call from the surgeon to confirm that everything was what we thought it was. He asked me again what I wanted to do. I turned the question around on him and said, what do you think is the best option? He said, amputation. I said, yep, that's what we talked about, let's do this. So surgery was scheduled for January 4th, 11 days later. Merry Christmas. We went to Mayo as a whole family. See, I get to 2 paragraphs left. We went to Mayo the night before as a whole family. Swimming in the pool. Pushing Oliver in his little floaty fit. It was the last thing I did with 2 legs. So surgery day came. I went in. They did the please don't sue us question of which leg are we cutting off today, Mr. Williams? And they put an X on it like a tree that's going to get cut down in the forest. So I woke up from surgery really groggy, and after surgery I can remember staring at the spot under the covers where my leg was supposed to be. The physical therapist came in the next day to teach me how to walk with a walker. I sat up in bed and got really nauseated. I'm sure the drugs I was on had a lot to do with that, but that was the first time it really hit me that my leg was gone. It was the first time that I really cried. I thank that physical therapist for coming back that afternoon so I could get out of bed and begin my recovery process. The recovery was about 3 months, and that's when I got my first real prosthetic. Learning to walk again was challenging. Humble brag. I think I did pretty freaking awesome figuring it out. Having one leg is hard, physically and emotionally. And to be completely honest, I don't know if I've come to terms with it yet in my head, and it's been a little over 6 years. There's not a day that goes by that part of my life isn't affected by it. My parents and sisters were awesome in helping me out after I got home from the hospital. I can't remember how many weeks in a row there was somebody at my house. But here's the hard part. My wife, my amazing wife, when everyone left after the weekend, she was still there to do everything. When the phantom pain didn't allow me to sleep for 2 months and I couldn't do anything, she did everything. When Oliver would wake up in the middle of the night because he sucked at sleeping, she took care of it. Having one leg sucks, but because of Jillian, we've adapted. And another humble brag, I think we're doing okay. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Maddox, our second child. Both boys are amazing. Both boys don't know me any other way. And both boys have been able to move faster than me since the day they started walking. They both like to help me put my leg on. The other day, Maddox came into the bathroom while I was getting ready, and he had a pocket on his foot. He said, "Hey, Dad, I have a fake leg just like you." In conclusion, all of you here have been touched by cancer in some way, whether you had it yourself or you helped someone else in their fight. Everyone here knows how awful cancer is. I want to thank all of you for all that you do and your support of the American Cancer Society. It was a blessing to me and everyone who stays at the Hope Lodge. It was a blessing to everyone who has beaten this disease because of the research that's been done. And it's a blessing to